Yeah, g'day all, and welcome to another episode of Under the Hood of the EV5 and its 12-volt battery. As you can see here, this is the Kings 65 amp hour lithium. I'll just zoom out a little bit there. Now, this has been installed in the car for the last week, or literally a few hours, under a week. And as you can tell by the thumbnail of this video, it is absolutely a win. Complete success. So I'll just go into a bit of detail here. So as the BM200's history only really allows you to see 5 days on the screen at one time. I mean, I can download the spreadsheet file and everything, but this is just so much easier. I took these screenshots a day or so ago, but it's still performing exactly this way. So as you can see, we have got complete beautiful stability. Before I get into this though, I've decided, because I'm going to be doing some more testing soon over the next month or so, I've decided the best way to keep this as a standard sort of default position is to only really test the batteries, the 12-volt batteries I install for a week, and that's only after charging them up 100% outside the car and then installing them into the car with the car at 100% for its traction battery, just so we don't see any sort of strange behavior or artifacts or anything from when the traction battery is charging. Because when the traction battery charges in the Kia EV5, and I'm assuming lots of other EVs, you will see the ICCU throw quite decent long charges, just under 15 volts, into the 12-volt battery as well. So I just want to take that out of the equation. So all we see here is the actual voltage of the 12-volt battery without getting any input from charging the traction battery. All right, so with that said, so this is the graph. So nice and stable, no thrashing at all. It's just nice and calm, very, very similar to what I experienced with the original 60 amp hour battery. So I was very, very pleased with that. I did have a couple of issues. As per my previous video, I was a little bit suspicious of when I installed the 65 amp hour battery, and that was when I was driving for the test drive. In that video, I noticed that the battery was under charge throughout the whole drive, and it wasn't getting anywhere near as high voltage fed into it as the original 60 amp hour. That is all perfectly fine. That was just possibly the ICCU getting used to the new battery, and I'll get into that in a tick. So yeah, this is the last 5 days. Fantastic. So as you can see here, the baseline sitting at 13.3. Now that's exactly bang on the voltage that the original 60 amp hour lithium was sitting at baseline. So that means when the car is resting, parked, and yeah, nothing much else is going on, 13.3 volts, fantastic. So the next event here, so I installed the battery, the day before this. So yeah, this has been overnight. The next event is driving the car in the morning, and as you can see there, it's a 12.82 volt dip. So I was a little, that's not fantastic. The 60 amp hour original lithium battery never really dropped down that low from memory. But to be honest, it's not a problem. So I just thought, yep, that's fine. So the next event here I took was the peak of that day, which is 1384. Now that to me was still a little bit too low for a peak. So, I mean, as you can see by this graph, the battery goes through peaks and troughs, or peaks and dips, while you're driving it. So this is just like a little peak charge episode. So 1384. The only reason I thought that was low was because the original 60 amp lithium battery used to have peaks up around the 14.79 mark, and they weren't always necessarily peaks. They were also sort of longer charging moments as well, maybe even sort of 5, 10, 30-minute charging sessions at around about the 14.79 mark. Never ever really went above 14.85 with the original lithium, but the original factory supplied lead acid was just all over the place. So you'd be talking nearly 15 volts, so right up really high, and dropping all the way down past 12 volts, and sometimes thrashing. I don't know why, but just up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So the stability of these lithiums in this circumstance is just amazing. So I love it. Anyway, so 1384, so be it, that's fine. The car's working fine, got no brake pedal syncing issues, no reverse assist mirror reset issues, no tailgate issues, no aircon not starting up issues, just perfect. Those other issues are the issues I had with the RENOGY and the Li Time batteries. Check out my other videos for those. They just did not like being used in the Kia EV5, so I would not recommend those ones. Batteries are fine, just I'm pretty sure it's just the BMS, not really designed to be used in this situation. So anyway, yeah, so 1292, so obviously that's a little bit higher than the 85 that we had over here, and then the peak of that day, 1378. So yeah, still not as high as the original battery, but of course, you know, there's probably a different BMS in this new 65 amp hour. Fair enough. So here we are, we're cruising along here, drops to 1285 again on that morning, and that's fine. Again, no problems, it's not going to affect anything, and of course it's just for a quick dip. But then all of a sudden we're starting to see 14.56 peaks. So I thought that's interesting. And then as you can see, the next peak, 14.59. And you can also see the dips. The dips aren't going under the 13 volt line anymore. So it's as though the ICCU has actually shifted everything up. So maybe we're not giving the ICCU the props it deserves. Maybe the ICCU is actually a lot more reactive and dynamic than we give it credit for. So I thought this was very, very, very interesting. So yeah, up at 14.59, still not 14.79, but not far off it. And then again, the next day, it doesn't even dip down below 13, but it spikes up to 14.59, brilliant. And again 14.57, so that's fantastic as well. And then yeah, the day after it drops right down to 12.9. So I was a bit baffled by that. Why has it sort of corrected itself, taken everything above the 13 volt line and given us these beautiful peaks, and then all of a sudden it's back down to 12.9. And then the maximum on that was just a quick trip a couple of days ago. The maximum peak in on that trip was 13.81, which is sort of back to where we were over here. And then the resting voltage is still back at 13.3, which is excellent. That is really, really good. But this had me baffled after these day and a half of just excellent positive voltages, and then then that big dip, 12.9 dip there. And then I realized, and I'm guessing a lot of you have already seen it, It's basically about the period of time the car is left before it's driven. So you can see here, ignore this because I'd say the ICCU is just getting used to things, but this gap here is quite long. And then the first time you start the car after it resting for that long is a dip. And then from here to here, not much time has passed. From here to here, not much time has passed. From here to here, not much time has passed. And then these little trips in here, yeah, obviously not much time there. But then from there to this drive, that's a fair bit of time. Probably talking, 15, 16, 17 odd hours. So yeah, that's what's responsible for the dips. But again, not a problem at all. And in the last day or so, it's been back up to this again. So yeah, fantastic. So I class this as an absolute success. The new Kings Lithium 65 amp hour. So yeah, if anyone else would like to do this upgrade, I highly recommend it. But of course, I hold no responsibility for any damage that you may cause installing the battery. And of course, definitely, I do not hold any responsibility for any damage the battery may cause to the vehicle. Now, as I've said before, I did check with Kia before installing the original 60 amp hour, and they said it's fine as long as it doesn't damage any car componentry. If they can prove that the battery, and it doesn't necessarily have to be lithium, it could be anything, could be an AGM, it could be anything except for their original supplied battery. If they can prove that it has damaged other componentry in the car, they will not cover that damage with the car's warranty. Obviously, they're not going to cover this battery's warranty either, but the most important thing is, and I'm guessing the scenario would be, if this lithium destroyed the ICCU or gave the ICCU a fault, you'd be up for a new ICCU, and of course we know that's several $1,000s, so just be aware of that. But in saying all of that, I have been running the original 65 amp hour Kings Lithium in this car for over 4 months, and it's been the best thing. I think one of the best things I've done in a car or to a car for the last 30 years. That stability is just fantastic. So yeah. The other things you have to consider when you are installing a lithium such as this is the fact that in the Kia EV5, you've got a pretty well set footprint for your battery. Everything's fixable. You can change anything, of course. Anyone can do anything, but just to keep it simple and non-destructive, this battery tray, very, very difficult to change out. You can't just stick a flat surface on here and then stick a bigger battery on, because you've got height restrictions. And even this is pushing the friendship a little bit. But yeah, the beauty of the 60 and now the 65 amp hour lithium is it's a smaller battery, smaller physical size battery than the original lead acid. So it sits down into the battery tray nicely. There's about 5mm of rubber on the bottom just to keep it all gripped up, and there's about 16 mil or 18 mil of packing rubber. You can see up here, this is just an anti-vibration pad that I cut up. I think it's like a white goods, like a washing machine anti-vibration pad from that big green hardware store, and I just cut it up to suit this size of that clamp. And yeah, once you've tightened this down and the nut at the back, it pulls this down beautifully, and it's rock solid, or as solid as the original. So that's the first thing you have to consider. The next thing is, on this particular battery, as per my previous video, for some reason, I'm not sure why it's different to the other one, but this positive terminal cover is actually sitting at an angle like that. It should be sitting a lot flatter, and the only thing preventing it from going flat is this section of the cover is pushing hard up against the blue plastic there. So you can see I've scratched a little line. If you were to just grind that out, file it out, cut it out, only needs about 5 mil, and then about sort of 10 or 15 mil down. This is all hollow, there's nothing actually in here. The metal strap comes from the post terminal all the way along, and then the wiring attaches down there. So there's actually nothing in here anyway. You could possibly cut this out with a pair of flush cut side cutters, or even a little saw, and then you just sort of fatigue the plastic back and forth with some pliers or whatever. But you do this on this side and on the other side. Actually, you may not have to on the other side. No, I think it just misses it. But anyway, be prepared to. And then that will allow this cover to sit flatter and take any stress off this battery post. So at the moment, you can't really, I suppose you can. At the moment, this is sitting up on a bit of an angle, but you actually want it to be flatter. But yeah, in the week I've had this in here, it hasn't been a problem. It's still tight. So yeah, do with that as you will. Now on the negative side, as detailed in my previous video, the post I have fitted here, this brass post, is actually a positive terminal post. The only reason I've done that is because I knew this is only going to be a week's worth of testing and evaluation, and it was the only way I could successfully get this negative clamp to tightly clamp onto the post. Now the reason I had to do this is because the negative posts are narrower diameter, and this particular clamp needs to sit as far down on the negative post as possible before it will actually clamp up. That's fine. It's fine on the original battery. It has also been fine on some of the other brand batteries that I've used. But on this particular battery, you can see this step in the plastic here. So it steps up about 2 or 3 millimeters. Now that fouls up the, let's see if I can get a good angle. Yeah, this section of the clamp gets fouled up if you try to push this down. Gets fouled up by this top of the plastic here. So what you have to do to solve this problem is install the negative post here. That's fine, but you have to pack it up. You have to pack it up by probably 3 or 4 millimeters, maybe even 5 mil. To be honest, the higher the better, because the height here isn't as critical as the height on the positive side, because the bonnet, I'll just zoom out a little bit. Yeah, you can see that angle there. If this goes any higher, you start fouling up the cover, the black cover that goes over this. Not a huge drama, but you don't want to be fouling things up for no reason. So yeah, if this came up a little bit, we're talking a couple of millimeters, it's not going to be a big problem, as long as you get that terminal to tighten onto whatever post you use. That is key. So yeah, again, in this case, as you can see, that's the positive terminal I used as per my last video. It's a fancy terminal that has a massive amount of bulk on the bottom. Doesn't really necessarily have to be that type of terminal, but it worked in this situation, so that's great. And then I needed another positive terminal for the negative side, just purely because it's fatter, and it was the only way I could get this clamp to grip on nicely. So yeah, that's really it. Apart from that, everything has been fantastic. Like, it's rock solid, it's performing perfectly. I absolutely love the way these lithiums work in the Kia EV5. So yeah, I hope you guys have learned something from this, and yeah, if you have any questions or you have any other modifications, please let me know in the comments. Thank you.